Good morning, it's Jan with Homebody Creations, and today I thought we'd do something a little different. I have my husband behind the camera and he is going to video me make this piece today. If you look down here, you could see I have prepared a 10 by 10 gallery wrapped canvas. That's the ones with the nice thick sides here. I've put 4 thumbtacks underneath it to raise it up off of the surface. And I've also applied some blue masking tape to the back of the frame to protect it from my spills. I'm a very, very messy painter. So that's just to help a little bit. So today's inspiration is thanks to my daughter, Emily, who owns Petal Creations. She's a very talented beader. And her inspiration for the beads that she's doing this month are based on fruit. And she sent me this beautiful picture of her inspiration, which was lemons, grapefruit, and oranges. And I thought, well, that would be really fun to create an abstract painting. It's not going to look like real oranges, grapefruit, and lemons, but it's going to have the colors and the feel of the shape of them. So we're going to be working with some fun colors today, and I'm going to bring you along just to see how my mind works through this whole process. And of course, if you have any questions at the end of the video, please comment below. By leaving those questions, you can see all of my work and more at homebodycreations.com. So, okay, let's go ahead and get started. I have picked out some fun colors here. I've got, and I use Nick Pro paints off of Amazon. They're really affordable and I have found them to work really well. They are pouring colors, meaning they're ready to pour. You can add a pouring medium for those times when you need the paint to move a little bit faster, but I find that I can pour right from the bottle. So I'm going to use a lemon, and then I've got this beautiful iridescent lemon. So for a little bit of shine, I thought I would add this in as well. That's going to be our lemon. Our orange, I'm going to use just a straight orange, but I'm going to put a little bit of beige in there to soften it up a little bit. I might even put a little bit of red in there to get that real beautiful deep orange color. And then for our let's see, what have I got? Lemon, orange, what am I forgetting? Grapefruit. I'm going to do this iridescent red with Nick Pro's pink. We'll blend those together and see how close we could get to a grapefruit color. And I'm just going to pour rings of color. My thought is to do 6 rings. I'm going to do 4, and then let's see, how was I going to do that? I'm going to do 4 and then 1 up above and 1 below, so the tilt will help spread them out evenly across the canvas. And I loved this. I made this lime green out of spring green, green, and then a touch of lemon and a touch of white to get this pretty lime green. So, okay, let's go ahead and get started. We'll start with our lemon. So what I'm going to do here first is I'm going to pour the lemon in a cup. And I just pour down the side to help prevent too many bubbles from forming in the paint. And ideally, you would pour your paints and let them sit for a little bit. I'm adding now the non-iridescent yellow. Give it a little bit of interest here. And I'm going to stir this up. And this is going to be a really pretty, you can kind of see what's coming together here. A really pretty bright yellow. And I think that's going to be great for our yellow. I do like to tap the cup a little bit and see if I could get some of the surface bubbles out. And we'll set that aside. Now we're going to blend our orange. And I'm doing this by sight. If I need to add more colors, I can. And it's a good idea sometimes to measure out how much paint a project's going to need. I think I want a little bit of the beige in here. And we'll mix this one up and see how we're doing here. What do you think, Larry?
Beautiful.
Looking like a pretty orange. I'm gonna need a little more. And the idea in volume of paints here is you want to have enough to cover the canvas, but try to eliminate as much waste as possible. As it relates to waste, I do try to use all of my paint. And if I have time, I could talk to you about some of the paintings that I'll make afterwards. I also save some of the paint peelings that I'll pull off, and you could use these in paintings, or I do resin work. I could make backgrounds of my earrings with the peelings. So I do use just this light painting plastic cloth to cover things, and the paint peels off quite nicely. Okay, we've got our yellow, we've got our orange. Now let's do our grapefruit. And like I said, I'm going to start with this iridescent red. And boy, is that ever pretty. And a little bit of pink. And we'll stir this up. I think that's a little bright. Don't you, Larry? Do you think we should tone that down with a little white?
Yeah, it needs to be a little more subtle, a little pinker.
Yeah, a little pinker. So I'm going to put a little white in there. And again, after a while, you just start to eyeball these things and have an idea of what is going to become of the blend that you do. Yeah, we're getting closer here. Still a little red. So I think I'll put a little more pink in there. And probably we're going to need a little bit more white as well. Oh, that's looking pretty. Ruby red grapefruit. Isn't that pretty? Okay, so I think I'm happy with that. All right, so now what we're going to do is I'm actually going to make a second batch of each of these colors, because we're going to do a pouring cup that blends all of these colors together and creates a larger cup for which we'll pour our circles. Okay, so there's more of our yellow, and we're going to do another orange. And this, whoops, reuse sticks, Jan. Got the orange there. Do another ruby red. And it's okay if it's not perfect. We're not going for perfection in colors here, because what's going to happen when we blend these together is they're going to take on their own color. This is the beautiful thing for me about fluid paint, is you get to lay down all of your wishes for how things are going to come out. You can kind of set the general direction, but you really have to live in the moment, which aligns really well with some of my Zen Buddhism and Taoism thoughts about just being present and allowing the moment to unfold as it will. That's what you have to do with the paint. It's not, doesn't really care too much about your wishes. So, okay, let's go ahead now. In our larger cups, I'm going to be alternating between the color and the white to get concentric rings of those colors when we pour. So we'll start with a little bit of white in this one. And then we're going to start with our ruby red. And just, I'm what's called layering. And if you watch here, you can see that by pouring down the side of the cup, you get these beautiful layers between all of the colors. And if I were to pour the paint directly on top of the other colors, that's what's called a dirty pour. And that gives you a totally different look. It blends the colors more depending on how high you hold the cup. I think I'm putting more white than I want in here. And, but for this case, we want the colors to be very clear lines. And the thicker your paint, the more of a separation of colors that you'll get. Okay, I think that's good. And we'll just do a little dollop for the center of the grapefruit, right like that. So that's our grapefruit. Now we're going to do our lemon. And if I just poured yellow, that's all you get is a big blob of yellow on the canvas. By doing this, you get those beautiful concentric rings. And once you've got the rings, you get to decide how much of the canvas you're going to tilt. And it becomes absolutely its own masterpiece and its own work of art. Okay, this one we're going to do, excuse me for sniffling. We've got some allergy irritants in the area. And it's giving my nose a little bit of trouble today. Okay.
And you know that rich people have allergies, poor people have colds.
I've heard you say that. Okay, here's our lemon. In fact, I'm going to grab a tissue here really quick and see if I can not sniffle so much. Okay, now we're going to do our grapefruit. No, our orange. And start with a little white, a lot of orange, a little more white, a lot of orange, a little more white. And I will tell you, what was that quote, Larry, about best laid plans?
The best laid plans of mice and men.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I'll come in here some mornings and I have this vision of this beautiful painting and this idea of what I'm going to do. And then the canvas and the paint decide to do something completely different. And it always looks amazing. You know, the paint has its way of moving that is natural to itself and to the canvas. And, you know, to the extent that I yield to what it does, the happier I am with the paintings at the end of the day. And I am learning big time to allow the paint to do that. Here's our orange. Okay, so we've got our orange, our grapefruit, and our lemon. And we're going to do... Now, if I were to pour from the back side forward, the white paint would come out first. If I poured the other direction, the red paint would come out first. So I'm just going to pinch this because I do want that little spot of white to come out first here. And we're just going to start by pouring, letting the paint just fall where it does and create this fun little circle of grapefruit magic. And I'm going to go quite large with this, I think. Okay, I think that's good for starters. All right, and I think we'll do the lemon next. And can you see the green paint resisting the yellow here? And it's okay that it's sliding off the side of the canvas. This is going to be pour over, so we're okay with that. Okay, now we're going to do our orange. And then we'll do the grapefruit again. Now I lost the green between those two, so I might, no I won't, I was going to pour some more green in there. But let's go ahead now and do another orange in here. Oops. And we'll do a lemon over here, a little small one. And most of these are going to pour off the canvas. That's totally okay. Let's see, what do you think, Larry?
I think it's beautiful.
Okay. So now comes the fun part. Here's where we get to tilt the image and decide what the paint wants to do. The first thing I'm going to do, though, is run my torch over the painting, because this will get rid of any bubbles that accumulated when I was pouring or stirring the paint. So we got that. Okay. So usually what you do is you evaluate at this point what you want to keep of this painting, and then you pour in the opposite direction. I've got a lot of green space up here, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to shoot for this corner first. And then I'm going to balance it out a little bit, come over this side, come back a little bit, go over this side, come back a little bit, pour the orange off a little bit, and pour this one off a little bit more. And I think what we're going to do now is pour a little more red in this one. Since we're just going for abstract here, and I didn't like all that orange there, and then I'm checking to see if my sides are doing well and getting covered there. So, not what I thought with the orange being dominant, but I do like it. I'm not loving that green right there on the orange. So I'm just gonna mix a little more orange in there and get rid of that. Help it along. I think that's really pretty. What do you think, Larry?
I think it's gorgeous.
So let's go ahead, and those iridescents, let me tell you, can you get the shine on that lemon? Just amazing. Whoops, you see those little drips? That's me not cleaning my gloves in between. And it's okay, but I'd rather them not be there. So I'm going to go ahead and move that one aside a little bit. And we're going to move this one on its merry way. All right, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around all the corners here. Do you see my overspill here of the paint that fell off? I'll grab the pink where the pink grapefruit is on the side here, and I'll just touch that up and make sure there's enough paint covering this side of the canvas. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Again, you're just making sure that your canvas has even coverage all the way around, because these gallery canvases really speak to this beautiful coverage all the way around. So again, I'm just going in here and adding some orange, and this will continue to drip for the next few hours, so I could count on it leveling itself out. Okay, we want some more pink. Oh, see, I did it again.
That might look quite intentional, actually.
Do you like it in there?
It could be the navel on the orange.
Oh,
but it's going to go.
Sir, let's just move it out a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to turn this so I can see what I'm doing, but you can see also. Grab some of the pink here and just fill this in.
Do you notice your plastic touching the side of your painting here by your right arm?
This here?
No, this here.
Oh, thank you. I didn't. Boy, can you film all my videos for me so you can catch that? Okay, I'm going to come around by you here so I can do the other side. And I could check here the creases along. Now we're over to the yellow. And we're going to go ahead and fill this in. And I'm picking up a fair amount of green. Again, it doesn't matter. You're just filling the blank spots of the canvas. And now I'm going to turn this so I can get this side with more pink. And we're good. Now the final thing I do is take a little stir stick here and I just scrape under the bottom of the canvas to get as much of this runoff here in the early part of the drip. And I may come by in a little bit and do this again. Excuse me, Larry. And we got that. All right. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to move some things aside here and I'm going to show you really quickly what I do with that paint on my mat here so you can feel better that I'm not wasting a bunch of paint. So we're going to go ahead and move this over here and let that do its work. And I've got this huge mess here. So as I mentioned, my daughter is a jewelry maker and she photographs her earrings a lot and she likes a background for her work. So I've got these fun, again, on Amazon. They're canvas boards. They're really inexpensive. You could buy like 24 to 36 at a time and they're less than $1 a piece. And so what I do is come over here and just have fun pressing this out. And it'll take a few dips. But you get these really fun patterns there. Then I go, oh, I want a little more pink over here. And I'll press this out. And this can take several times to do, and you don't have to worry about ruining the preceding pattern because it just creates a new one. Look at that.
That's beautiful, just the way it is.
Isn't that so pretty?
Yep, that's gorgeous.
So we've got that one spot there. So look how beautiful that is.
Yeah.
Now, if I was really smart, in fact, I might be smart enough. Let me show you something else I could do.
Now, do you plan on covering that white space in the middle, or are you going to leave it there on purpose?
I think I will cover that.
And how are you going to do that?
I'll show you. Okay, so now I just go, what would be pretty? Oh, there's green over there, and there's some pink over there. So I'm just going to take this, and now I'm just going to kind of go back and forth with my finger. And just let that blend in. And let it drip and let it do its thing. And then I just run my finger along here and get all the excess paint off. And run my torch. Get those bubbles. See those bubbles that formed there by doing that section? And now I've got an absolute beautiful, looks like a peacock tail almost, doesn't it, Larry?
Yep, it's gorgeous.
Isn't that beautiful? Okay, so I'm going to show you one more thing. that I can do with this leftover paint is I make coasters. And again, I buy these tiles in bulk off of Amazon, and they come with the cork pads that you can just put on the back. I paint them, and then I put resin coat on them. But I'm thinking this would be beautiful. So we could try to get as many of the colors as we possibly can here. And we're just gonna dip that in. Pull it up, and we've got
beautiful.
One beautiful one. And I will not bore you, but I will do 3 more of these, and so that I have a full set of coasters that are absolutely lovely.
So you're going to work your magic while we're not looking?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm going to do. And now you know it's not all so much magic. It's pretty much simplistic fun, allowing the paint to do what the paint does and creating beautiful pieces of artwork. So thank you so much for joining me. If you enjoyed this process of watching me make something, please, please, please like, share, comment below, and come visit me at my website, homebodycreations.com. See you next time.